For years, I pretended everything was fine while quietly manipulating the very people who trusted me most. Now the walls are closing in, and I don't know who will break first, their hearts or mine. I still remember the exact words Maya used, like they'd been rehearsed 1,000 times in front of her mirror. I'm opening up our relationship status, without any mutual agreement first. I just looked at her, calm as ever, and said, this timing works out beautifully. Her confident expression faltered the very next day when her cousin casually mentioned my coffee date. That tiny comment? Yeah, it hit her like a ton of bricks. Maya and I had been together for 4 solid years, the kind of relationship where you casually talk about down payments on a house, which pet you might adopt next, and whether the Saturday farmer's market had better organic produce than the one downtown. Sunday mornings were sacred, coffee in bed, debates about kale versus chard, and laughing over the tiniest quirks. I genuinely thought we were building something steady, something that could survive mortgages, holidays, and whatever life threw at us. Then, on that Tuesday evening, she walked into our shared condo like a storm in human form, a determined expression I had literally never seen on her face. She carried herself like she was about to deliver a State of the Union address. Yoga mat down, shoulders squared. Brandon, we need to have a serious conversation about the future of our relationship, she said, setting her mat with the kind of precision that made me wonder if she'd been practicing this for weeks. I looked up from my laptop, the glow of structural bridge plans reflecting in my glasses. What's on your mind? She perched herself across from me, hands folded neatly in her lap, the posture of someone about to drop a bomb in boardroom style. I've been doing a lot of thinking about personal growth, exploring different aspects of myself, and I think we should transition to an open relationship structure. The words hit me like turbulence on a smooth flight. For years, and she's just now telling me this like it's a new company policy. Open relationship? I repeated slowly, tasting each syllable. Yes, she said, calm, clinical. We're both still young, and I think it would be healthy to experience other connections while keeping our primary foundation intact. Her delivery was so rehearsed it sounded like she'd been studying this for months, hiding it behind small, mundane conversations, waiting for the perfect moment. I studied her face, looking for even a flicker of the Maya who once asked my opinion on everything, from restaurant choices to career moves. Nothing. This wasn't a discussion, this was a decree. Well, I mean, we can discuss logistics and boundaries, she added, as if that softened the blow. Her voice wavered, just slightly, as if she hadn't expected me to notice that this wasn't actually a conversation. And then it clicked. The late-night yoga classes that cropped up 2 months ago. The distant walks. The hidden text messages. Everything suddenly lined up. You know what, Maya? The timing actually works out beautifully. Her brow furrowed. What do you mean? Luna from my climbing gym, she's been trying to get coffee with me. I've been turning her down because, you know, committed relationship and all that. But now, I should probably text her back. Her face went through a rapid-fire montage, surprise, worry, panic. Wait, hold on. We should set ground rules first, before either of us starts reaching out to other people. Ground rules? Really? You announced this like it's already a done deal, and now suddenly we need rules? I pulled out my phone. What are you doing right now? Texting Luna to see if she's free tomorrow, I said. Isn't this what you wanted? Her confidence crumbled. I just think we should be methodical. Maybe take a few days to think about boundaries before dating anyone else. The irony? Absolutely perfect. She sets this in motion, and the second I embrace it, suddenly it's too soon. Maya, you've clearly been thinking about this for a while. I'm just following your lead. I hit send. Meridian Rowers, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Coffee. Her face was pale, eyes wide. Brandon, I really think we should talk more thoroughly first. What's there to talk about? You said you wanted us to explore other connections. I'm exploring. Luna's brilliant, photography, art, outdoor adventures. And she respects boundaries, which I appreciate. She stared like I'd announced I was moving to Mars. You've been thinking about dating her? I've been thinking about how interesting she is. That's it. I wasn't going to act on it while committed to you. But now, I'm excited to see where it goes. That night, Maya barely slept. Tossing, turning, probably realizing this whole open relationship thing meant I could, and would, see other people too. Not just the ones she'd already picked for herself. Coffee with Luna turned into a 3-hour marathon of conversation that reminded me what real connection feels like. She climbs, she photographs hidden waterfalls around Portland, and she finds beauty in places most people ignore. Her laugh, pure, unfiltered, made me realize how long it had been since I'd heard genuine joy in my own life. I've noticed you working out alone, she said, stirring honey into her cappuccino. Maya's been doing Pilates, some guy named Jake, revolutionary core strength or something. I laughed internally. Whatever that guy's reputation, I was too caught up in Luna's enthusiasm to care. We spent the afternoon hiking Forest Park, sunlight streaming through the trees. She showed me how to capture light through the canopy, angle shadows, make ordinary trails look magical. And all the while, Maya's energy back at the condo was, well, let's just say less than magical. When I asked how her coffee date went, she muttered something about Jake and Pilates, pushing salad around her plate with zero enthusiasm. Contrast that with Luna and me, planning our next adventure to Silver Falls. Maya's fork froze midair, our routine, our plans, shattered by the reality of the open relationship she'd unleashed. The next week, her family barbecue arrived, a festival of overpriced steaks and unsolicited real estate advice. Maya clung to me like a stage prop, holding my hand and performing perfect girlfriend for the extended family. Brandon's been so supportive of my personal growth, she announced to Aunt Patricia, voice pitch just a bit too high. Her cousin Alex raised an eyebrow. New dimensions? Very modern of you both. The irony? Delicious. Behind closed doors, she was distant and distracted. In public, she was a performance artist, Oscar-worthy. Later, Alex pulled me aside. She seems intense today. Everything okay with you? I just smiled. We're figuring some things out. Nothing major. She's exploring. Sunday morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Alex. Dude, I saw you at Meridian Bistro with that gorgeous brunette. Maya know you're dating her boss's daughter. I stared, trying to process. Luna's mother was Victoria Chin, senior partner at Chin & Associates, the same company where Maya worked. Small world. And Maya had no clue, apparently. She emerged from the bedroom, barely awake, heading straight to the coffee maker. Her phone started buzzing. Alex, what are you talking about? I watched her face shift from confusion to horror. The realization hit her, this wasn't just dating someone. This could affect her career. Brandon, she said, voice tight, we need to talk. Right now. About what? I asked. About Luna being my boss's daughter, how dating her could ruin my career. I leaned against the counter, genuinely confused. You're the one who wanted us to see other people. You don't get to pick who I date based on your professional concerns. Her face turned red. This is different. Victoria oversees major projects? If anything goes wrong. I smiled, sipping coffee. Jake doesn't work in your industry, Maya. Don't tell me it's different just because you didn't plan ahead for your own choices. I grabbed my jacket. I'm meeting Luna in 40 minutes. We'll explore the spots she mentioned. Her composure cracked completely. Fine. If you're stubborn, I'm spending the day with Jake. See how you like it. I meant it when I said, have fun. The day with Luna was surreal, Japanese gardens, photography tips, sushi in Hawthorne, stories of Southeast Asia. She cared about the same things I did, asked about my projects, remembered my passions. And Victoria Chin? She knew of me, had heard about my engineering work. The puzzle pieces all clicked. That evening, Maya returned with manic energy, clearly unprepared for the reality of the choices she'd made. We need to talk, she said. About everything. I sat down, calm. I'm listening. She confessed, emotional involvement with Jake for 2 months. She thought opening our relationship would make life simpler, but instead, it had spun a web of complications, all of which she had failed to anticipate. Emotional affairs are still affairs, Maya, I said softly. You developed feelings while we were committed, then retroactively legitimized it. And now you're panicking because I'm actually following the rules you created. She paced, frantic, focused entirely on her own potential consequences. What if things go wrong? What if there's drama? I watched, almost amused. What if things go right? What if I'm genuinely happy with someone who cares about me, about my life? Her pacing slowed. What do you mean? Luna asks about my projects, remembers details from our conversations, shares her passions. When was the last time you showed that kind of interest in anything I cared about? She had no answer. The fight escalated into tearful apologies and accusations of cruelty. But I stayed calm, because the truth was undeniable. I wasn't punishing her. I was living my life. The following weeks? Pure drama. Maya showed up at my workplace unannounced, creating awkward situations, calling my professionalism into question. She contacted our landlord, trying to leverage her concern over my mental stability. Meanwhile, Luna and I thrived, exploring Portland, capturing authentic moments, and discovering a connection I hadn't felt in years. At the farmer's market, Luna photographed the vendors setting up, laughed genuinely at little things, and reminded me that life could be simple, joyful, and full of beauty. Your girlfriend seems lovely, an elderly vendor said. Not exactly. It's complicated, I replied, realizing I had no simple way to explain this mess. But Luna's smile? Genuine. Real. And for the first time in months, I felt like I was living for me, not for someone else's performance. The next morning, I was still buzzing from the day with Luna, the scent of coffee still lingering on my fingers as I scrolled through photos she'd taken on my phone. Portland had never looked so alive, sunlight breaking through the trees, reflections in puddles, leaves glowing with autumn gold. I could feel the pulse of the city, the rhythm of creativity, and a little piece of my soul felt free again. Then my phone buzzed. Maya. Brandon, we need to talk. Now. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I already knew this wasn't just a casual check-in. I could practically hear the manic energy vibrating through her text. When she walked in, the apartment felt smaller, heavier, as if her tension had settled into the walls. She didn't even glance at me, heading straight for the couch and plopping down like the world was ending at my feet. I've been thinking, she started, voice shaky, about Luna, and Victoria, and everything. I raised an eyebrow. Go on. Her hands twisted in her lap. This whole open relationship thing, she stopped, swallowing. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I couldn't help a small, ironic smile. You announced it, Maya. You didn't ask me to give a TED talk on potential disasters first. She gave me a glare that could cut glass. This isn't funny. Victoria oversees major projects. If she finds out about Luna, about us, my career could be over. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Wait, let me get this straight. You decide we can see other people, unilaterally, and now you're telling me who I can date because of potential professional fallout? Isn't that convenient? Her jaw tightened. You don't understand. It's not the same. Oh really? I said, voice calm but pointed. Because from where I'm sitting, you expected me to accept any arrangement that suited you, but now that your plan has consequences you didn't anticipate, suddenly we need rules? She flinched but didn't respond. Here's the thing, Maya, I continued, voice steady, I've spent the last week with Luna. She asks about my projects, she remembers the details, she genuinely cares about what I love. When was the last time you did that for me? She started pacing, muttering under her breath. It's not that I don't like her, it's that she's Victoria's daughter. There are complications, repercussions. I followed her with my eyes, feeling a mix of frustration and disbelief. Complications for you. Not for me. I'm having fun. I'm happy. That's not something you get to veto. Her face flushed. She was on the edge, like a tightly wound spring. What if something goes wrong, she whispered, almost to herself. What if it goes right? I countered, softer this time. What if Luna and I actually connect on a level that matters to both of us? She stopped pacing, staring at me like I'd just grown another head. You enjoy being with her? Every single second, I said honestly. She listens. She remembers. She shares. When was the last time you did that for me without an audience or an obligation? The apartment grew quiet, the tension so thick I could practically taste it. And then, without warning, her composure cracked completely. Tears welled in her eyes, and she sank onto the couch. I didn't think it would go like this, she admitted. I thought I could handle this experiment, but seeing you, with her, her voice faltered. It's what? I asked gently. It's too real, she said, her hands shaking. And there it was. The confession I had been waiting for, the acknowledgement that her unilateral decision had consequences she hadn't reckoned with. I stayed silent, letting the words hang in the air. I didn't need to say anything. The reality of her own actions was staring her in the face. Later that week, Luna and I explored a new hidden waterfall just outside Portland. The sound of rushing water, the mist on our faces, the sun breaking through the canopy, it was almost cinematic. I laughed freely, pointing out how a certain angle made the rocks glow like molten bronze in her photographs. Luna laughed, that infectious, genuine kind of laugh that made the tension from the past week seem like a distant memory. Meanwhile, Maya's energy back at the condo was nothing short of volatile. I started receiving texts at all hours, frantic messages, pleading tones, occasional angry bursts. One afternoon. Brandon, you can't do this. It's ruining everything. You announced the rules, I replied calmly. I'm just playing by them. This isn't a game, she shot back. It's your game, Maya, I wrote. You set the board. I'm just moving the pieces. By the end of the week, the tension reached a peak. Maya started showing up unannounced at my engineering firm during lunch, supposedly, to talk, but actually creating awkward, tense moments with colleagues who knew nothing of our arrangement. Brandon, your girlfriend is here again, Tom, my project manager, muttered after the third surprise visit. She seems upset about something. I sighed, knowing this was about control, about her panic, about the unexpected consequences of her choices. Later that evening, I discovered she'd called our landlord, Mrs. Rodriguez, hinting at concerns about my mental stability. A welfare check meeting was scheduled, and I had to carefully explain that I was completely fine, and that Maya was under stress due to the tangled web she had created. All the while, Luna and I were building something real. Saturday morning at the farmer's market, she photographed vendors, capturing the quiet moments of their mornings, while I carried equipment, laughed with her, and soaked in her energy. She reminded me what genuine curiosity and joy looked like. Your girlfriend seems lovely, an elderly vendor said as Luna paid for a jar of honey. Not exactly. Complicated, I muttered, realizing even casual conversation now required careful wording. But Luna didn't care about complications. She cared about moments, about connection, about life. And for the first time in months, I felt alive in a way I hadn't thought possible, free from performances, free from manipulations, free to simply be. By the following week, the situation had become a full-blown storm. Maya was no longer just texting, she was micromanaging, monitoring, and performing in ways that felt almost theatrical. Every interaction with her was a delicate balancing act, like tiptoeing through a minefield. It started with her showing up at my workplace again. Not for a meeting, not for anything professional, just to check in. I found her pacing in the lobby, phone glued to her ear, muttering phrases like, Brandon, we need to talk about Luna. Now. Tom, my project manager, came over, eyebrows raised. Brandon, your girlfriend is here again. Is everything okay? I forced a calm smile. Everything's fine. She's just concerned about something. Concerned, sure, but her concern felt more like control. Her presence alone made conversations tense, my colleagues exchanging glances that screamed, what is going on? Later that evening, Maya escalated in ways I hadn't expected. I discovered she had contacted Mrs. Rodriguez, our landlord, reporting supposed erratic behavior on my part. I had to sit down with her, explain diplomatically, reassure her that I was perfectly fine, and that Maya's panic was entirely her own problem. Meanwhile, Luna and I were building something real. Saturday morning at the farmer's market, she photographed the vendors setting up, capturing small details others would miss, the way sunlight caught honey jars, the angle of a stack of vegetables, the quiet patience in a baker's hands. I carried equipment for her, laughed with her, and noticed how my pulse had finally slowed, how I could just enjoy. Your girlfriend seems lovely, the elderly honey vendor said as Luna paid for a small jar. Not exactly. Complicated, I muttered. Even casual conversations now required caution. Luna just smiled, oblivious to the drama, and reminded me why I was here in the first place, to enjoy life, to explore, to connect. She asked about my projects, remembered details I'd shared, and genuinely wanted to understand my world. The simplicity of it, honest curiosity, shared passion, was intoxicating. That afternoon, she suggested we meet her mother for coffee, partly to address the looming question about Maya's work and the professional complications. Victoria Chin was direct, commanding, the kind of person who solved problems rather than letting them fester. She didn't yell. She didn't manipulate. She asked straightforward questions, listened intently, and left no ambiguity about her expectations. Brandon, she said, setting down her cup, I want you to know that your relationship with Luna has no interference from our business side, but we do value professionalism. That said, personal happiness is important too. You seem to genuinely care about her. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and disbelief. Here was the woman whose daughter I was now genuinely interested in, treating me with respect and grace. Contrast that with Maya, who had been orchestrating drama for weeks, panicking about potential consequences she herself had set in motion. That evening, returning to the condo, Maya was waiting. The door barely clicked shut before she started pacing, manic energy practically crackling around her. We need to talk about everything, she announced. This whole open relationship experiment, it's affecting both of us in ways I didn't anticipate. I sank into the couch, curious. I'm listening. She explained, carefully choosing her words, rehearsed perhaps during the drive home. She admitted that she had been emotionally involved with Jake for 2 months, long before we'd officially opened the relationship, but had only acted physically after the announcement. She was trying to paint it as something less consequential, but I could see it for what it was, an attempt to justify her unilateral decisions. Maya, I said calmly, emotional affairs are still affairs. You developed feelings for someone else while we were committed, then retroactively legitimized it. And now you're panicking because I'm actually following the rules you created. Her pacing became frantic, voice rising and falling between tears and anger. But Luna being Victoria's daughter, complications, repercussions, my career. I watched her, quietly amazed. Maya, did it occur to you that things might actually work out? That I could be genuinely happy with someone who shares my interests, remembers details from our conversations, and is genuinely invested in me? She froze mid-step. What are you implying? I've enjoyed every moment with Luna, I said softly. She asks about my engineering projects, remembers small things I say, shares her passions. When was the last time you showed that kind of interest in anything I cared about? Her silence was loud. The fight escalated into tearful confessions, angry accusations, and endless spirals of what-ifs. She accused me of punishing her, of deliberately interfering with her career, of sabotaging the very professional life she claimed to fear. But I stayed calm. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was living my life. In the days that followed, the tension escalated. Maya continued her unannounced visits to my office, creating awkward situations for my colleagues. I fielded concerned questions, reassured everyone diplomatically, and tried not to laugh at the sheer irony of it all. Maya's own panic and obsession over professional repercussions were creating the chaos she'd feared. Meanwhile, Luna and I flourished. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market became sacred, her photographing, me helping, sharing laughs and stories. She reminded me what genuine connection feels like, what it's like to enjoy someone's company without manipulation, panic, or performances. Whatever it is with her, the elderly vendor said, nodding at Luna, she makes you smile in a way that seems real. Not exactly, I replied, realizing there was no easy way to summarize the mess. But Luna didn't care about the drama. She cared about the present, the laughter, the photos, the quiet thrill of discovering something beautiful together. And for the first time in months, I felt alive again. Real joy, real connection, and real freedom. Victoria Chin's words had lifted a weight I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. She made it crystal clear, my relationship with Luna had absolutely no bearing on Maya's professional standing. Instead, it was Maya's own behavior at work, personal calls during client meetings, distracted performance, showing up late on project deadlines, that was creating problems. The relief hit me like a cold splash of water. I'd been bracing myself for fallout, worried my happiness could somehow derail her career, and yet the truth was simpler, Maya was responsible for the chaos she was making. That evening, I tried to talk to her calmly. Maya, your job is safe. Victoria confirmed it. None of this has anything to do with me or Luna. Her face went pale. You talked to my boss about our personal situation? It came up naturally during coffee with her. Luna's mom addressed it directly, to avoid awkwardness. Maya's jaw dropped. You had coffee with Victoria Chin? And told her what? Nothing about you specifically. She just asked if anything was affecting your focus at work, noticed you seemed stressed. Her hands trembled. This is a disaster. She's going to think I'm completely unprofessional, unstable. Maya, I said softly, the only person affecting your professional reputation is you. But Maya wasn't done. The breaking point came Thursday afternoon. I returned from work to find the locks on our condo had been changed. I stood in the hallway, key in hand, twisting in vain, my phone buzzing with her calls. Neighbors glanced sympathetically as I dialed. Maya, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? I need space to think, she said calmly over the phone, as if the hallway performance were justified. Without you constantly disrupting me. It's my apartment too. My name's on the lease. I pay half the rent. You can stay at Luna's place while you figure out your emotions. She'd probably love the company full time. The audacity was staggering, but I didn't engage in the drama. I called Mrs. Rodriguez, our property manager, who confirmed Maya had no legal right to change the locks without my consent. Within 2 hours, emergency access was arranged. Meanwhile, I texted Luna. Her response was instant. That's completely unhinged. Do you need a place to stay? No, but thanks, I replied. When Mrs. Rodriguez handed me the replacement keys, she looked genuinely concerned. Brandon, this level of domestic disruption isn't typical. Are you sure everything's okay? Maya's dealing with personal stress, I said diplomatically, and hopefully she'll stabilize soon. That evening, Maya strolled from our bedroom as if nothing had happened. How was your day? Interesting, I said, remembering that changing locks without a co-tenant's consent counted as harassment under Oregon law. I just needed private time to think, she said innocently. You can't unilaterally decide I don't live here anymore, I said firmly. Meanwhile, my colleagues had begun noticing. Tom, my project manager, pulled me aside during a Friday meeting. Everything all right at home? You seem stressed. I gave the short version, relationship difficulties, working through boundaries. Internally, I recognized that Maya's behavior had escalated far beyond normal relationship conflict. It was unstable, controlling, and manipulative. That weekend, Luna and I escaped to Cannon Beach for her photography project, documenting coastal erosion along the shoreline. Watching her work was mesmerizing, scientific precision, artistic vision, passion in every frame. She explained tide patterns, how decades of erosion shaped the cliffs, and I found myself completely absorbed. You seem more relaxed today, she said as we sat on a driftwood log, Thai takeout balanced precariously in our laps. Getting away from the drama helps, I admitted. Maya's been creating chaos lately. What kind of chaos? I told her about the lock-changing incident, the workplace visits, and the landlord calls. Luna's expression grew serious. Brandon, that sounds really controlling. Have you considered she might be showing you who she really is when she doesn't get her way? People reveal their true character in conflicts. Her words lingered in my mind as Monday brought troubling news. Maya had had a meltdown at work during a client presentation, crying in front of potential investors, leaving halfway through. Victoria called me directly, explaining the situation professionally, though the tension in her voice was palpable. Brandon, she broke down mid-presentation. Clients were confused and uncomfortable. She's insisting personal time won't fix the underlying issues. I realized then, Maya's career was genuinely at risk, not because of Luna or me, but because of her own behavior. By Tuesday evening, I made my decision. I called Marcus, my friend, and arranged a moving truck. For years of shared life were carefully sorted into what was mine. Under a pile of magazines, I found her phone, still logged into her text threads with Jake. 2 months of intimate messages, planning their future while pretending to be committed to me. I can't wait until this mess is resolved and we can be together properly, one read. Jake's replies were blunt, I'm seeing other people. Hope that's okay. I'm not looking for exclusivity yet. Maya's entire plan had backfired. She'd risked our 4-year relationship for a man who never intended the commitment she assumed was guaranteed. I took screenshots, not for revenge, but to clarify reality versus her narrative. Marcus helped me load my belongings, engineering books, drafting table, furniture, computer equipment. Dude, he said, shaking his head, this is next-level manipulation. She blew up your relationship for someone who never intended to catch her. By that afternoon, I had a new apartment in the Pearl District. Walkable to coffee shops, space for Luna's photography visits, and light streaming through large windows, everything reflected my life, not compromises. That evening, Maya appeared at my door. Mascara smeared, designer purse clutched, tears still glistening. Brandon, I never meant for this to hurt you. Everything got complicated so quickly. You orchestrated it. Emotional affair, open relationship announcement, work drama. None of that was accidental, I said calmly. Her lips trembled. I thought I loved him. I thought he wanted the same future I did. What future? I asked, steady. The one where I quit work, became an influencer, and he supported me financially. I shook my head. Maya, I know what we had. For me, it was real. For you, it was a placeholder until something shinier came along. Jake was a mistake. But Luna, that's real. Honest. Built on respect, not manipulation. She finally understood. Her expression fell, and for the first time, the gravity of her choices hit. I closed the door gently, listening to her footsteps fade. 3 months later, Luna and I were planning a photography trip to the Columbia River Gorge for wildflower season. Through mutual friends, I learned Maya had moved back with her parents. Jake had ended things after her workplace meltdown. Her Instagram had shifted from luxury lifestyle to motivational quotes about resilience. Do you ever feel guilty about how things ended? Luna asked as we planned our route. I feel sorry she hurt herself, I said honestly. But guilty? No. She created this. I just refuse to enable the manipulation. Luna nodded. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the consequences of their choices. 6 months after Maya's open relationship announcement, I woke up in my own apartment, made coffee with someone who genuinely wanted to be there, and realized life had fallen perfectly into place. Maya got the freedom she demanded. I got someone who genuinely appreciated me. The timing had worked out beautifully, just not the way she had planned out. I remember that morning like it was a scene from a movie. The sunlight spilled across my new apartment, hitting the hardwood floors just right, and for the first time in months, I felt it, the quiet, unshakable peace of owning my own space. No tension simmering in corners, no surprise texts, no dramatic door slams. Just me, a steaming cup of coffee, and the sound of someone genuinely happy to be there. Luna had already arrived, her camera bag slung over her shoulder, eyes bright with excitement. "Are you ready for today?" she asked, her voice full of curiosity and energy, the kind that makes you forget the world outside. I smiled. More than ready. We drove out to the Columbia River Gorge, windows down, the wind tangling our hair, the scent of pine and wet earth flooding the car. For hours, we hiked trails I'd never noticed before, capturing wildflower blooms in the golden morning light. Luna crouched low to get the perfect angle, explaining the nuances of aperture and natural lighting. Every so often, she'd pause to look at me with that spark in her eyes, the one that says she's genuinely invested, not just in the photos, but in the person holding the tripod. And as we wandered, I couldn't help thinking back to everything that had happened, the chaos, the lies, the lock changing, the texts, the professional meltdowns, the long, tense conversations with Victoria Chin. It all felt like a lifetime ago, like another world I'd narrowly escaped. Maya had created her own storm and then acted surprised when it rained chaos into every corner of our lives. Luna's laugh snapped me out of it. She pointed at a patch of sun-drenched flowers. "Look at how the light hits these petals, amazing, right? You see beauty like this differently when you notice it." I nodded. "Yeah. I think I'm starting to." And I realized, truly, that this was what freedom felt like. Not the kind that comes from ending a relationship, though that was part of it. Not the kind that comes from escaping manipulation, though that was another part. It was the freedom to connect with someone real. Someone honest. Someone who sees you, remembers you, and values you, not as a placeholder, but as the main character in their story. Later, we stopped for coffee in a small, sunlit cafe tucked into the Hawthorne neighborhood. Luna spread out her photos, and we laughed over small mistakes, tilted horizons, flowers that looked like they were floating off the page. And in that moment, sipping a perfectly brewed cappuccino, I realized something else. The past chaos, the lock changing, the professional meltdowns, the months of drama, had led me here. To someone who was real. To a life that was mine. And for the first time in a long time, I felt it without reservation. Everything had worked out exactly as it was supposed to. Maya had gotten the freedom she demanded. She'd faced the consequences of her decisions, professionally and personally. And I had found someone who truly appreciated me, who made my world brighter, who reminded me that life isn't about enduring chaos, it's about finding joy, curiosity, and connection in the people who truly deserve your time. We walked along the cliffs at sunset, the sky a wash of gold and purple, waves crashing far below. Luna nudged me gently. "You're smiling differently today," she said. "Yeah," I admitted, laughing softly. "I think I can finally breathe." And in that golden, wind-tangled light, I knew it was true. The timing had worked out beautifully. Just not in the way Maya had ever imagined. The past was behind me. The future was here, in the laughter, the photographs, the sunlight, and in someone who truly saw me. And for once, that felt like enough.